the opening match here in the Gidia Arena, and they are kicking off. We are underway. It's the Esports World Cup featuring EA FC. It's going to be Levy kicking from left to right and Jonny from right to left here. But it looks like Jonny's not happy, so we're just going to have a little bit of a pause and make sure everything is okay, Ryan. Sometimes this happens.
It happens. It's a normal thing. They've got to make sure they're prepared for the game. There's, of course, a long time waiting for this moment. And I'm sure they're looking forward to it. But, of course, Levy, with his coach behind him, similar to Jonny with theirs. Technical difficulties, it's very normal. It's very, very normal.
Just happens sometimes. It's the day we live in. Anyway, it does allow us to talk about the teams because we were trying to have a little spy on them whilst they were getting ready. We can probably dive quite deep into it. We spoke about left back for a short while, but in general, teams and players that we're going to be looking out for.
Yeah.
Let's start right at the back. Let's go with goalkeepers because I know they probably don't matter as much.
Yeah.
Right? But
goalkeeper's such a difficult position because it's the one you're in control in a way because you can call them out, you can move the goalkeeper yourself, but it's the one position there is the most AI influence involved. Yeah. I think for me, my position on it would be bringing a goalkeeper that can increase the chemistry for my outfield players, as well as for them, they could be on the max chemistry. So perhaps using an icon goalkeeper, you've got Petr Cech, you've got Schmeichel. Some players use Courtois as well, he's very tall, but I would always opt for a tall goalkeeper as well. I would never use or directly go to use somebody like Casillas in an online tournament, or an important tournament, I should say, because he's a lot shorter than the likes of Courtois and Van der Sar, etc.
Petr Cech's been unreal for me, by the way.
Yeah, it does the job.
His footage item is unbelievable. By the way, we do have other games happening at the moment, and as you can see, there has already been goals going in. You mentioned this matchup with Webb Nasri, and looks like he's already gone behind in this opening one.
Yeah, 2-0 down early on it's a tough one to bounce back from. Of course, 9.5 gives him a lot of time, but for Abimaka, it was the perfect start for him in that game, and it's something I'm sure that he'll be trying to push on and score a lot of goals, which we've seen him in previous tournaments. He likes to score goals, and I'm sure he won't let up in this one.
Well, one way to stop goals is a good defense, Ryan. Who will we be seeing in defense? We mentioned John Stones a little bit earlier. Are we going to expect to see a lot of Stonesy?
I think John Stones, for me, is pretty much a lock in a lot of the squads. I think he's a lock-in. I don't think in centre-back, though. I think players play him in right-back or at left-back. He's got aerial plus, anticipate, long ball pass plus, and I believe it's intercept, if memory serves me correct. But 4 incredible playstyle pluses, and of course, his stats to go along with it. He's got a stature in game that can challenge in the air. So for me, I think it's a guaranteed selection. If someone didn't choose him, I would be surprised. But yeah, for me, he should be in the team.
Centre backs. We're going through it all here, folks.
We've got time. We might as well.
It's the FC podcast featuring Dan Gaskin and Ryan Pessoa. Before we get there, we've got another goal happening elsewhere. Footwear's Mark going up against Young, and it was an opening goal for Mark. You did hear them briefly talking about him on the analyst stage as well, Ryan. I mean, what an opener for him.
Yep, exactly. I didn't really get to pay homage to Mark and Mark 11 and Young in their game. It's one, of course, that for me, earlier on in the season, seeing Young in the FC Pro Open, I thought he was very, very impressive. On another day, he defeats Anders in that game, and we don't have the story between Anders and P8 Zin. And I think he's someone that could maybe pose a threat to a lot of the competitors in Group A. Mark 11, of course, last year, runner-up in a tournament in Saudi Arabia as well. So he's got the experience of performing on a massive stage in this country, and I'm sure he'll be reveling in the fact that he wants payback. Definitely would want payback. Part of Footwear's organization, good friends of mine as well. Incredible support there from them for Mark, and I'm sure they'll be hoping and believing he can go the distance.
And just looking at some of these opening games that we've already seen replays from, based off of these opening fixtures, this first game, if you lose it, that could be enough for your tournament to be over. Like, in a way, just because of like how close everything is.
I get you.
This could be your best opportunity at beating someone. You look at Abimaka versus Webb Nasri, right? Is Abimaka going to have a harder time against LevideWeerd, against Emre, against Jafonso, against Jonny? Like, it just gets harder every single matchup you go into.
Absolutely. I think for Abimaka, again, I'm just being completely honest here. Based off of the season from what we've seen, Webb Nasri, for me, is the weakest competitor in the group.
Yeah.
So he's starting off that game. For me, for Abimaka, if he wants to progress far in this tournament and far in this group, it's a must-win game. He's 2-0 up, so he started off extremely well, but of course, the tides could shift as the game progresses. But I think he's somebody that revels in the opportunity. I think he plays better against better oppositions too.
Okay.
I think maybe might favour Abimaka, but I'm sure in this game against Webb Nasri, he'll be knowing he's the favourite. Sometimes that puts pressure on you though. Playing the weakest opponent in the group at the start, it's tough because you know the pressure's on, and if you lose, the misery is compounded even more.
Well, one thing I know about Web Nasri is he's always seems to be at every international tournament ever since I started working this game like 6 years ago. Web Nasri was there. He's nothing short of experience. He definitely knows how to play on a main stage. But as we saw in the replays earlier, he is already down. But they are long matches, and there is a long time for him to get back into the equation. Very excited to see what happens between Emre and Jafonzo. You started talking about that fixture a little bit earlier. Jafonzo, for me, what he did in EMLS was incredible. He kind of, it felt like he came out of nowhere, but obviously anyone who has followed Jafonzo in his career, he certainly didn't come out of nowhere. He has been grinding for quite some time, but he took that tournament and that league by storm and is really, for me, propped up the EMLS.
Yeah, I think the final, was it 6-0 against K1 Jonny?
Yeah.
It was a dominant performance from Jafonzo, and he's carried that on throughout the season and other tournaments, and of course, the last chance qualifier, which was the most recent one we had to get through, is an incredible accomplishment. He defeated Abu Fawzi, defeated Umut and as his teammate in order to get to that stage, which is an unbelievable accomplishment. That's why I find it difficult to root against him. I think the players that come through the last chance qualifier, because it was so recent, you're coming in on the best form out of all the players in the competition. Nicholas and Jafonzo have the best form.
They certainly have the best form at the moment, but will that form be enough to find the victories here in this tournament today? As Levy and Jonny are still just getting ready getting into this one at the moment. And it looks like they're still just waiting. So he'll be with us for a short amount of time. But you can see there is certainly action waiting. Maybe they're just keeping their thumbs up and keeping them warm.
Yeah, you can see Levy's looked in. Jonny looks tired. He looks fed up. But
it's tough, man.
It is.
And also trying to stay, I mean, you warm up previously coming into these games, right? It's very easy to get cold when you are in these scenarios as well. So even though flicking your thumbsticks around looks like it's pointless, it could really help you going into the game just to make sure you stay locked. By the way, I did mention earlier, LevideWeerd representing Team Liquid. Of course, it is Team Liquid and Team Hullet. They've combined for this event. Is again something beautiful about the Esports World Cup, with so many organizations competing in that club championship. They partnered with other organizations to ensure they got the right players to represent them. And when you look at that club championship, and when you look at which teams could actually go on and put points on the board, I mean, there are a few players from Team Liquid times Team Hullet that could really be there. Now, we mentioned Jafonzo versus Emre as a matchup. Well, it's going to be Jafonzo taking the opening lead here. 53
minutes in, so it's been very, very tight between the both of them. Of course, just being able to see the replay doesn't do it enough justice, but Jafonzo leading against Emre Yilmaz that's a massive result for Jafonzo, if you can see that out.
Well, we're underway then. And this is live. This is the start of the Esports World Cup featuring EA FC as LevideWeerd versus Jonny. Thank you so much for everyone watching at home and here in the Gidia Arena for bearing with us as we got ready and locked into this game. But now it seems like both players are happy, they're comfortable, and we can finally get some action on our screens here, Ryan. Excited to see who really takes this game by the scruff of the neck.
Absolutely, and just looking around the personnel selection, Jonny again, Schweinsteiger, he's got Saka, Hostelu at right back. He's got De Bruyne. Both players have the long ball pass playstyle, which I mentioned earlier on in the stream, if you remember, how important it is.
Could be a chance already, and it will be the first goal straight away for LevideWeerd. It's 1-0 in just a matter of minutes here. And we spoke about momentum, we spoke about going cold, Ryan. Well, he's everything but here. Yeah,
exactly. Levy started as he means to go on a great goal initially to break the deadlock between both of these players. You just kept the possession at the start, whilst his players changed and rotated into their correct positions. You see the replay here, Haaland, the space just seems to open up, and of course Arne Ronaldo in at the near post. You always trust him in front of goal. The pressure wasn't enough to put him off. For Levy, it's a great start.
Very calm response as well from Levy, just a fist bump towards the coach. A lot of patience from him as well with that goal, just biding his time as he approached with Haaland, and then the pass was sublime. You can see elsewhere, Jafonzo's just taking a 2-0 lead against Emre. That could be a massive result, but are we going to see an instant response here from Jonny as he now approaches his opposition's box? Could maybe shoot from distance, but instead plays it to Haaland. Oh, what a save though from Courtois.
Deserved the goal. That ball was fantastic as well. Utilising Messi in the team, I think that's a unique choice.
Big cross. Big chance, but it is going to be well defended, and I think corners are going to be very dangerous this tournament.
Absolutely. It's something we haven't really spoken about this stream so far, but corners are genuinely like penalties. We always say it in the FC24 tournaments, and Jonny has scored a lot of goals from corners in previous tournaments that have sort of gave him good stead in breaking the deadlock or retrieving leads. And I think for Levy's confidence, knowing that he's taken the lead against Jonny, I think obviously favours him more. But Jonny's someone, once he takes the lead, he very rarely loses it. And for Levy, of course, to start strong is very, very important.
Well, it has been an explosive start, that's for sure. It might have been a wait, but it has not disappointed when it arrived on our screens. It was almost 1-1, but now Levy has a chance to try and double his lead. Does manage to get it back to Haaland here. Is going to be support. Maybe a chance here for Mbappe, but good defensive work from Konate.
Yeah, very important block there as well. The goalkeeper movement shifted across, you could see it, but I think for Levy, he knew that goalkeeper movement was coming, so he opted to shoot to the other side, and of course Konate there to block it.
So it's playing out from the back now for Jonny, and just trying to break down the press that we're seeing from Levy. He's not over-committing to the press, but he's certainly trying to cut off some of those angles so that Jonny really does have to work the ball up here. Yeah,
exactly, and he's just trying to get possession with his midfielders, the players that do have the long ball pass plus, just so he can trigger the runs in behind and play those first-time balls over the top. He tried it there with Saka, I believe it was. Didn't work out that time, though.
It's a long switch of the ball, and it is going to be a successful one as well here. But sadly, amounts to nothing. Any surprises on the pitch so far, players-wise, that you've seen?
I think for me, it's Messi. I love using Lionel Messi at home, I'll be honest. Not this version. I don't have the facilities to have him, but I feel like just Messi in general, just dribbling with him is amazing.
Well, Haaland's through on goal and will strike it, and somehow strikes it across the keeper to tie us up 1-1. And I wonder whether that one caught LevideWeerd off guard a little bit. I wasn't expecting the shot, but I tell you what,
yeah.
If you've got 99 rated Haaland, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Caught me off guard as well. The space again just seemed to open up with Haaland. I thought maybe a pass at the back post was what Jonny would have opted for, but he went direct with Erling Haaland, and of course, getting back into this game as quick as possible against Levy is very, very important.
Well, Levy can't maintain his lead for much longer than 10 minutes in game, and as we mentioned earlier, 9-minute halves, 9 real minute halves, so there is plenty of time. I think Jonny will be delighted to get one on the board here. Any frustration that may have built up would certainly been executed there in those moments of a goal. We have a goal elsewhere, by the way. Jafonzo did earlier have a 2-0 lead, and judging by where this one's going,
wow, it's
a 3-0 lead. How about that to start the day?
3-0 against Emre Yilmaz. It's difficult to score 1, let alone 3 without response as well. That's an unbelievable start from Jafonzo.
Can I change my prediction about who's going to win this one? Seeing that, that's insane. Yeah. That's definitely something that Jafonzo will want to hold on to, because he's only got 25 minutes left in that game, but here we're only 20 minutes into it, and it's LevideWeerd now marching forward, trying to find a little bit of space to work with. Again, it's a big switch of play to open up that room on the right-hand side, but every time he tries to play that final pass, it seems like Jonny's there. Yeah,
you can see how much Levy's trying to utilize just the width as well. Having his players very spread out towards the touchline is very important for the way Levy plays, and Jonny's done well, other than the first, I'd say, 10 minutes or so to nullify him.
Good defensive work from Levy just to keep Jonny pinned back here, but Jonny has done very well to be breaking through Levy's defense here, and it's going to be a chance yet again, but you can see what he wanted to try and do there. Just sadly couldn't quite get that ball through, but maybe now a chance on the counter-attack here, as here is Kylian Mbappe. Does have support in the middle as well. Hullet's going to be there, but instead plays it back, but it's a long-distance shot that amounts to nothing. Perhaps, though, something from the corner. It's Haaland! Oh, but Saka off the line. Wow. Unbelievable from Saka, but there's always going to be a second chance as Haaland's just so powerful in the air. Yeah,
that's why Konate is so important, though, to introduce him into the teams, along with, you've got Saliba as well. Both have aerial plus play style. They can challenge Haaland in the air from corners, but it's very difficult because look how quick Levy took that corner. He took it instantly. You don't really have time to move the goalkeeper. You have to be locked in and prepared and move your players and your goalkeeper as quick as you can, but it's not easy to do.
No time to think, no time to breathe, as now Jonny will be hoping he can do something similar here. Saka does have a lot of room to work with. Dink to the back post, and Haaland can't quite get up and above. And again, that's why you need someone defensively who can match him height for height, really. And it now means that Levy gets a chance on the attack again. Here's the switch of play. Osalu on the right-hand side has certainly been opening up a lot of space for Levy.
Yeah.
But he had more success when he went down that left-hand side a little bit earlier. Here's Stones, switches it yet again. Osalu just marching, striding forward, and that creates a lot of space. And you can see the player switch comes in. Mbappe into Ronaldo, isn't going to strike it straight away, and Saliba does just clean things up.
Yeah, that was well worked from both players. In the end, I think Jonny dove in a little bit too early. He was a bit aggressive trying to win possession back, and it gave space down the byline for Levy, but he done very, very well with Saliba to not dive in that time.
Here's the counter though, and you can see Messi is going to be through, plays one back, and just like that, Jonny has the lead. And it was patient, it was tactical, but it was a counter-attack that catches LevideWeerd off guard.
The thing is, it looks so easy for those at home. It's simple. It's just passes down the wing. He manages to spring a counter-attack straight away from that defensive situation with Saliba. And of course, the player lock, Messi to R9, just a simple pass and a simple finish. But Jonny, he does extremely well to turn this game right around in a matter of time.
Saka to Messi to R9. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to say. Saka, I mean, if you look at greats of the game, I think Saka is up there for me as well. You know, it's awesome to see his item actually being heavily used, and I think it will be very prominent in this tournament. But now Jonny has the lead, so this is going to be a big test of LevideWeerd and see how he answers back, because it's all well and good having the lead in the early stages. But of course, it gets a little bit more nerve-wracking as you get further into the game and you're going to be behind here. Yeah,
we saw in previous tournaments just the way Jonny can punish you. We saw it even in just that goal. He can punish you because he soaks up pressure defensively. A lot of players behind the ball, and he's able to just play a switch perfectly, intercept passes in midfield just like that with Schweinsteiger, and spring a counter-attack straight away.
Well, Levy tried a little bit of a risky ball, and now maybe Jonny could benefit from it. Does try and strike one from distance. I like him mixing things up with how he's going to attack, and now he's rewarded with a corner. You can see him controlling Haaland, trying to get him to the front post, and that's why you have Haaland on the pitch, so he can do just that. The damage is done from the corner, and it's a 3-1 lead for Jonny.
Told you, he's dangerous from corners. Erling Haaland, once he selected, I expected Levy even to move the goalkeeper. But I sort of he trusted in the fact that Konate could maybe win the header, but the ball was just in front of him. Gave the run-in for Haaland to have the trajectory to jump above him and to win it. And of course, over the goalkeeper there's not much you can really do from corners. I think moving the goalkeeper is easy to say that, but then I'm sure there's different ways that the players will be able to counteract that and whip the ball in maybe behind the goalkeeper or even towards the near post. It's very, very difficult to defend.
I remember years ago, Mo Albert was known as the corner specialist, right? And I'm getting that kind of feeling from Jonny here, as he's already found success, and I'm sure that Levy will try and deny any corner chances. But again, maybe there's some reasoning to shooting from distance, hoping that it takes a deflection.
Absolutely,
for the corner,
absolutely.
Right?
I'm sure players this year would think there are some obscure angles that they would shoot from in tight angles, just in the hopes of the keeper parries out for a corner. You win a corner, and you trust yourself from it. I genuinely mean it when I say penalties or corners are like penalties this year. It's so difficult to stop.
Levy now finds himself 2 goals behind with only 6 minutes left in the first half. He had such a quick and hot start to this game, but hasn't really been able to find the same kind of pace ever since. Jonny's done so well at matching him and really finding and cutting off those passes time and time again. Speaking of passes, here's Haaland. Will be matched up though, and Hoslu will just about shove him off the ball, and that's not easy to do against Haaland.
Yep, done the job there. You see the little player switch initially all the way on the left there from Levy, because he knew Jonny would have looked for the switch, and again, that comes into the preparation, but Jonny done well to try and just build up in a different way.
Well, there is still plenty of time here for LevideWeerd. But the team talk could be very different at half-time if he can find a goal and just get within 1 here. And every time he goes forward, there's always that opportunity, but defensively, Jonny has stepped things up since the opener here in this game. He seems to be reading Levy very well, and now that counter-attack is always going to be dangerous. At least it has slowed down at this point, so Levy can assess how this one's going to be approached. But again, it's an attempt on the right-hand side, trying to work this ball over towards Saka, utilize his pace to try and get a ball through.
Done extremely well. I'm surprised that Jonny didn't opt to keep the ball for the last attack, because he could be punished here if Levy's efficient in front of goal and in build-up.
Well, Levy gets one free attack then. As I say that, maybe he could be punished. Maybe there is an opportunity, but it looks like Jonny's just going to hold on to the ball, plays it over the top. Referee hasn't blown the whistle just yet, but I don't think Haaland's going to get hold of it, and this should be the half-time whistle. What a great start to the Esports World Cup featuring EA FC here. And it is Jonny with a 3-1 lead after 45, despite the fact that LevideWeerd took an early start and an early lead here, Ryan. I mean, what's your initial thoughts after seeing that 45? I
think it's been close. I know the scoreline obviously favours Jonny leading 3-1, but I think the way Jonny's done well to soak up the pressure is very, very important.
Well, we're just looking back at some of the replays from Jafonzo versus Emre, and we mentioned the score earlier was 3-0, by the way, which, as we alluded to, is pretty insane, because Emre is one of the best players in the world. I mean, you could say that about several people here in this tournament, but Jafonzo certainly performing to his very best at the moment. Elsewhere, Abu Maka did defeat Web Nasri, and we're still waiting to see the final result from Emre and Jafonzo, but I think it ended up as a 4-0 win for Jafonzo against Emre in the end. That's mental. And we'll have to see how that affects the group stages as we progress here. A big win for Jafonzo to kick things off. We'll have to see whether he can continue that fine form. But for now, we return our attention to our feature game, LevideWeerd versus Jonny. And it's Jonny with a 3-1 lead. And Jonny, who's just looked more impactful with his attacks, just seems to have more of a deeper playbook, it seems, right now.
Yeah, exactly. And as I mentioned, I feel like it suits him the way the game's going now. Once he takes the lead, he's able to force his opponent. Because obviously Levy knows that the time ticks on. Jonny's very comfortable in keeping possession, sort of playing down the clock, playing slower, looking for the balls in behind and playing a certain way. And I'm sure for Levy, he would want to get a goal back as soon as possible just to make sure Jonny doesn't have that safety cushion. But it's very, very difficult to commit players forward when you know the way Jonny plays.
Jonny could just grab you out of nowhere and send a ball into Haaland again, and that's what's quite scary here for LevideWeerd. Has to be aware of the counter-attack that we've seen so often here already from Jonny. And really, Jonny, he'll be looking at this first half saying, well, I've done pretty much everything right except that initial start. And sometimes that can be down to, you know, the fact they were waiting for 10 plus minutes before this game started, and he was just a little bit cold going into it. As again, we have more replays. This time it's from Footwear's Mark versus Young here. And I think initially, wait, this must be, this is the 84th minute, right? So, okay, there was going to be a goal going in favor of Young, but we did see a goal earlier from Mark.
Yeah,
right?
Maybe it was offside.
Wow. Must be.
Has to have been.
It was 0-0 going into it. We'll get confirmation of that one shortly, but goals going in all around the games at the moment. Of course, this one is the latest game to kick off just due to the delays that we had initially. But do you think now that LevideWeerd is going to up the ante a little bit with the next 45?
I think for the first maybe 15 or so, I think he'll play the exact same way, sort of gauge the game and see how it's progressing. If he gets chances just playing normal, I think he'll be happy with that. But I see Jonny scoring again. Oh, wow. I do see him scoring again, and it's a difficult one to come back for. Again, it's just the play style of Jonny. I think it's very difficult, and it favors him when he's leading. I know I've said that a few times, but it's so difficult to play against. So difficult because there's a lot of bodies behind the ball. You can't. The only way you can genuinely get up the pitch against him a lot of the time is down the wings and the width. And I think that's why we've seen Levy with Hugside, and he's got a lot of players utilizing those areas of the pitch, the switches. I think that's where success will come from.
Is there anything that Levy can learn from Jonny here? I mean, he's just seen the success from corners. He's seen the success from getting it to Haaland. Could Levy maybe switch things up and go for that more direct approach as well, or is that just not his game?
I think it is. I think he's implemented that pretty well this year in terms of scoring from corners. A lot of players have, because they know how important it is to maximize that mechanic in the game. For me, again, you can play for corners. I don't think you necessarily have to play for it to win. You can just, all it takes is one. Just literally one, and you can score from it. And I'm sure Levy knows that very, very well.
And of course, back in the day, when corners were powerful, goalkeeper movement was one of the main counters. You just move the keeper over, he can catch it. Doesn't seem to work as well here in FC 24. Is there anything that you can hold on to? Because as the goal went in earlier, you're like, there's not really much you can do about that. That's pretty frustrating as a player to not have that ability. But at the same time, you've really just got to do your best thing to higher those percentages, right? Like if it is getting Canate on the pitch, making sure you match up with those runs as well. Yeah,
absolutely. I think the one way, in that situation, in that goal specifically, if it was me, I would move the goalkeeper. I think Levy obviously didn't want to. I think maybe his coach, they would have said they would trust Canate to win the header, perhaps. I think the only thing you can do is move the keeper. Well, when players take it quickly, you don't have enough time to move the keeper out far enough to nullify the cross coming in. I think that's the only way, and of course you're hoping Canate or Saliba or Haaland are in the right position to try and challenge in the air, but that's not always the case.
Well, confirmation that Mark 11 versus Young is 1-1 elsewhere, going into extra time, by the way.
Yeah,
we'll see how that one plays out going into the extra time.
There was a slight technical difficulty. They have to reset the game as we're just going into half-time again. So the kickoff is in the right hands this time for Jonny.
So it'll be a chance to just make sure those players dive into the tactics and get everything ready. But again, it just adds to the tension here for both of these players. And for LevideWeerd, he has to try and wrestle back a 2-goal deficit. And Ryan thinks there's going to be another goal for Jonny. So if LevideWeerd is going to find victory here, we'll be looking at a 5-4. We'll be looking at an absolute game of FC.
I can never root out Levy from a game, never. I remember seeing a game, I believe it was against Matthias earlier on in the season. I think he was 4-0 down. He didn't end up winning it, but he scored 3 goals in quick succession, and it felt as if he was going to make that comeback. So he does score goals late on in games, and as you can see on the screen, that was the final score, as we mentioned. Jafonso 4-0 against Emre Yilmaz. Jafonso getting 3 points on the board early on.
Well, now we're going to be seeing LevideWeerd kicking from right to left here in the dark blue kit. And how is he going to wrestle his way back into this game? Is Toni Kroos in the middle of the pitch at the moment, and it's going to be a very direct attempt from R9, just testing that keeper, and again could play into trying to go for some corners here as Haaland plays it back out to Frimpong. Needs a little bit of assistance here though, and doesn't want to get caught out by that counter-attack. You can see game finished. Abu Maka does beat Webb Nasri 2-1 as now Ronaldo into Kylian Mbappe, tries to find something and will, and there's your ticket back into the game.
Wow, that's a great way to get back into the game. I think for Jonny, he's frustrated. You can see it there on the camera shot of him. I think he thinks the defender should get the ball back there, but it wasn't meant to be in that situation. Reverse elastico and a shot across the face of goal. We see the replay here again, Dan. It's build up with Piteas into R9. Reverse elastico comes there. I would expect Saliba to win possession back there if it's me. I'll be completely honest. I think Jonny, rightly so, feels hard done by, but for Levy, of course, he'll know that and he'll just take it in his stride and take the goal back into the game.
So take it back into the game, and for Jonny, he just needs to make sure he doesn't get too frustrated by that. I would, if I had a penny for every single time I've seen a player concede a goal they feel like they shouldn't have and they've gone on to lose, I would probably be a very rich man, because it happens all the time. You have to stay locked in, and mentality has to be strong. It's here's now Saka as Jonny looks to try and respond instantly, but gives the ball away, and this is better from Levy, winning that ball back higher up the pitch so he can be the one to spring the attacks and maybe catch him off guard. As you can see, overtime, extra time is live at the moment. Young's just taken a 2-1 lead against Mark.
Yep, that's the ball over the top there. Didn't work that time for Jonny, but that's something to look out for. We haven't seen it too much in this game. Frimpong in possession as well. Was a substitute. He was using Hosselu at left back, I believe it was, or right back. And now Frimpong in at left back is a more offensive substitute.
Levy playing it slow again, switches it out. It's going to be Stones on the right, and you will just play that back, and now it's going to be the build, and there's that long over-the-top raking through ball. Stones, can he find any sort of cross? Can he find a pass? Yes, he can. It's going to be Kylian Mbappe. Steps one over, but this time, Jonny had the read.
I don't think he would have expected to have that much space to step over forward there. But the space opened up. Jonny committed, thinking there would be a pass across, which there was, so for him in that situation, it worked perfectly.
Haaland a little bit further back in the pitch. You want him in the box, or maybe you want Kylian Mbappe, and there's going to be the third. And we're all tied up, and again, frustration sets in for Jonny.
Yeah, Saliba's not having the greatest game for Jonny, I'll be honest, but Levy takes it. I stand corrected. I said Jonny would score another goal first before I saw Levy try and respond there, but decisive in front of goal. A shot across again. You expect Mbappe to finish that. No goalkeeper movement, but I think Jonny was sort of startled and expected, again, Saliba to get possession back there for him, but it's just not worked for him in that situation. In
fairness to you, you did also say you'd never count out LevideWeerd.
Yeah, I sort of just went on both sides just to cover my back a little bit, you know.
You supported yourself both ways. And we have an absolute game on our hands. 3-3, 60 minutes in. And Jonny looked like he was in cruise control, but LevideWeerd has now peeled this one back. And he seems like the one in the ascendancy. He's been far better at intercepting as again he wins the ball back high up the pitch here. And suddenly Jonny is under the cosh now. And Levy looks like he's just set out for blood.
Absolutely, and Jonny's rushing. That's the second time that he's given away possession. I would say needlessly. I think he's gifted possession to Levy. Very, very unexpected and uncharacteristic of Jonny, what we've seen in previous tournaments.
I wonder if that is a little bit of the frustration kicking in just at Saliba, to be honest, and him not defending how you'd expect. Can he make up for it here as Kroos finds Hullet, plays one in, and it's perfect, but there is going to be the keeper. Second chance, though, and Petr Cech has pulled off a madness.
What a save that is. I thought it was a guaranteed goal the moment it fell to Ruud Hullet. It felt destined to find the back of the net there.
Unbelievable goalkeeping, and when we spoke about goalkeepers and the influence they can have, that's the difference that can be there. And that might be the difference between winning or losing this game, to be honest. We might have seen Levy just run away with it had he found a fourth here, taking the lead going into the final 25 minutes. But now it's a chance here for Jonny. Saka through on goal. Does have a chance to drift this one into the middle, but instead goes for the back post. What a save, though, from Courtois. And again, the keeper's stepping up to the plate. From the corner, though, we know how dangerous this can be. Into Haaland, and again, it's Courtois making himself big. Messi can't do anything either, but Jonny trying his darndest.
Just knocking on the door. Wasn't able to find a breakthrough there, though. I felt Jonny done very, very well. Whipping the ball to the back post. It's sort of a trademark thing in FC 24, and the shot at goal there, wasn't able to find the back of the net. Again, a great save. I think there was slight goalkeeper movement there from Levy, very slight, but it done enough to prevent a goal going in.
Well, it's difficult to try and predict which way this one's going to go. Every time each of these players attack, there's so much danger. And I think that's what you should expect to see this entire tournament with the caliber of players we have available to us. And going to be on our screens is now Mbappe. Has a little bit of room to work with, but just cuts inside. There is a very lucky deflection there that is just going to allow Levy to continue this attack. But Stones is going to be matched up by Stones, and it's just going to be a goal kick.
Yeah, it was good defending there. The space, again, opened up perfect. It's so easy for us to say that, though. When you're playing your tunnel vision, you don't really see it. But Mbappe, once the rebound fell back, after what he was going to play the through ball in behind.
I feel like it's like the Olympics when you watch, like, the gymnastics and you're like scoffing at it. You're like, I could do that. But then when you actually go into the logistics of it, right, it's insane what these players can do, and the caliber of players, like I've mentioned. This really is the cream of the crop when we talk about FC 24. You can see the crowd getting behind either player at the moment. Most of the fans are here for Team Falcons, it has to be said. We saw Abu Maka a little bit earlier. It's now R9, and it's a good save. But this for Petr Cech. What are you doing?
Gosh. The keeper movement was superb there, but I think it has to be a goal.
Maybe from the corner. It's Cech again. Has really been the man of the match so far, as Levy can't seem to get the ball between the posts right now. It is a human wall in the way, but maybe, surely, now is going to be the time. There we go, as Kylian Mbappe. Just that extra bit of patience from LevideWeerd. He takes the lead 4-3.
Yeah, you know what, I always struggle. I don't know what that skill move's called. I'm going to call it the heel-to-heel drag. Maybe it's got a different name, but he done enough to go around the keeper or to an angle where it was enough to shoot around the keeper there. As we see the replay coming in, Kanate into Pateas. The first time ball was perfect. Keeper came out and wasn't able to prevent it to find the back of the net there. Levy turning the game completely on its head. He was 1-0 up, was 3-1 down, now he's 4-3 up with around 20 minutes or so down left in this game. So it's be interesting to see if Jonny's got a response.
What does Jonny have left in the tank? He looks a little bit deflated for me. It was all smiles at half-time when he had a 3-1 lead, but now you've got to dig deep. Find something else, because LevideWeerd has really shifted things into his favor here. It looked like maybe he was going to be down and out at 3-1, but that's why he's my pick to win this tournament. Easy to say that now. He's got a 4-3 win. 4-3 victory, excuse me. But is it going to be a win? Because there is still, as you mentioned, 20 minutes, which in-game, still a lot of time to work with here. But can LevideWeerd now hold on to this lead? Will his tactics change a little bit here? Does he slow things down? Does he start to just play the ball around and see if he can frustrate Jonny?
See, a match has concluded. Young victorious 2-1 against Mark 11. It's got a greater start for Mark in this tournament, but for Young, an incredible 3 points on the board to kickstart his tournament.
It's a great kickstart for him, but can we kickstart something in favor of Jonny? Saka into Haaland, but it's going to be blocked. I think that was a rash decision for the shot. I think really much space.
In previous versions of Erling Haaland, without the finesse shot plus, I think that shot is, you're looking for either a corner or something. But I think with the finesse shot playstyle plus there, in those situations, if you time it green, you can score. But of course, there were bodies in front of the ball there, so it's a difficult one to get between the defenders.
I don't hate taking risks. Sometimes that ball just goes between players' legs as well, and suddenly you look like a genius then. Speaking of geniuses, Mbappe was on the ball, plays it back to Kroos now. Haaland, and it's a great effort. There is potential for a follow-up here, but LevideWeerd quite intelligently just leaves that to go to a corner here. And we've already seen what damage could be done from corners. Switches it to Saka for the in-swinging. Are we going to be able to see Haaland on the end of this one? He's going to be the target as always, but Haaland is going to be defending it as well, as it is swept in, but not going to be enough. And Cech now just slows this one down. 9 minutes remain. And this is going to be a tense 9 minutes because you know that Jonny's going to start to send everything forward here, right?
Absolutely, and I think that could favour Levy because, again, when your opponent pushes bodies forward, that obviously leaves more space for you to counter-attack, to utilise the spaces that are exploited. But Jonny...
Speaking of, there's an exploited, and it could be a chance, and he goes for it, and no, the follow-up
Oh my goodness.
Massive. And defensively, LevideWeerd has done a madness there just to make sure he stays ahead here.
Again, a situation where the rebound fell perfectly. You think it's going to find the back of the net, Janola.
R9 now. Tries to get past Van Dijk, unable to do so.
Great defending.
And now LevideWeerd looks to try and just control this game a little bit. This is such a difficult experience for Jonny when you come that close and you think that's your ticket back into this game to take you to extra time, and now it's about winning the ball back. And you really have to change your mentality, but LevideWeerd might want to put this one to bed. Players running through the middle, but instead just holds on to R9 here. There is a lot of space on that right-hand side to Mbappe. It's a 2-on-2. Make it a 3-on-2 as another player arrives. Here's Saka again, but again, it's just about holding on to this ball, but now Jonny gets the ball back here, and he can counter-attack. Yeah,
absolutely. Again, rush, though. Severely rushed for Jonny. Could be detrimental because 2 minutes left in game. All Levy has to do is keep possession of the ball. It sounds easy, but it's very much not. They're just going to go to the corner flag here and just try and kill minutes on the clock as he gets a corner.
Gets the corner and could just play this one short if he really wants to kill off time here. And of course, he will just allow as much time to tick by as possible. Does play it short. Haaland into Hullet, the two big boys just looking to hold up play as Mbappe just has loads of space here.
He doesn't need to score. Just keep the ball.
He doesn't need to score. Just keep the ball for 2 minutes. And you can see for Jonny, he's trying to press, he's trying to harass, he's trying to win that ball back. But it looks like maybe his time is up. Perhaps one last chance here if he's quick. You still got 1 minute on the clock. You have to go forward now. De Bruyne sends one, but it is defended perfectly by Virgil van Dijk, and that should be enough for LevideWeerd here to start his tournament off with a victory. The final whistle blows. He ushers the crowd to cheer him on, and it is a victory despite going down from LevideWeerd.
It's an incredible performance from Levy. Started off well. We went into the first half. He was 3-1 down. Jonny 3 goals without a response, and Levy done extremely well to just keep on going and keep persevering and get goals back on the board. Despite being